All right, today we're cracking open what seems like a super helpful, very practical field guide for identifying wildlife. The only problem? The methods it suggests for telling these animals apart? Well, let's just say they're a little bit final. Have you ever been out there, maybe on a hike? You come face to face with some huge creature, and you think, man, I wish I had a surefire way to identify this thing, even if it's the last thing I ever do. Well, if you have, you are in exactly the right place. So what we're looking at today is this wonderfully dark and funny poem called How to Tell Wild Animals by Carolyn Wells. And you should think of it less as a survival guide and more of a how to figure out what's currently eating you guide. So let's open up this very dangerous book and meet our first subject. Okay, here we go. A large and tawny beast, just like the poem says. It's coming at you in the jungles of the East. He looks pretty sure of himself, doesn't he? But, looks can be deceiving. This is the big question, right? How can you be 100% sure? You need a definitive test, an unmistakable sign. And lucky for you, our guide has a very simple rule for that. And this, my friends, is where we get to the good stuff. The guide's official rules for recognition. These are the simple, can't-miss methods for telling one wild animal from another. So you're going to want to pay close attention. This could save you. Well, okay, it's not going to save you, but hey, at least you'll die well-informed.
And there you have it. Rule number 1. The key sign to look for is the sound it makes while you are, expiring. Simple, effective, and terribly final. A perfect ID. Every time.
Let's move on to our next magnificent creature. You're wandering around, and this noble beast says hello. Yellow fur, black stripes, all the classic signs are there. But we can't just rely on looks, can we? No, we need certainty. Another beautifully simple rule. The key thing to observe here is the act of being eaten. It's a very hands-on approach to zoology, or I guess teeth-on. This simple rule, as the poet points out, might just help you learn. Now, you won't have a whole lot of time to appreciate this newfound knowledge, but for a split second, you'll know for sure. On we go. So you're strolling along, you see a creature, and its hide is just covered in spots. It's an easy mistake to make here, but don't worry, our guide has your back. The test for the leopard is all about physical contact. And I love this because it points out the leopard's defining feature. It's persistent. It's not just the first leap, or lept, as the poet spells it. It's the repeated lep and lep again. That's how you know. The follow-through is just everything. Now, not all the identification methods in this guide are so violent. Some are almost affectionate. If you're walking around your yard and you meet this guy, his method of identification is a lot more intimate. The famous bear hug, and I love that the poem cheekily calls it a caress. If that first bone-crushing embrace leaves you with any doubt, don't worry, he'll give you just one more little caress to clear things up. How nice of him. Okay, time for the advanced class. Telling beasts apart can be tricky for a beginner. So how do you tell a crocodile from a hyena? Well, it's not about what they do to you, it's about their emotional state while they're doing it. See, it's all in the facial expression. The guide is tapping into popular sayings here. The laughing hyena comes with a merry smile, but if your predator seems to be weeping while it eats you, well, those are crocodile tears. It's basically emotional intelligence for the doomed. Okay, let's wrap up with our most challenging creature yet, the chameleon. It's a small lizard-type thing. No ears, no wings. But its greatest trick makes identifying it a little paradoxical. And there it is, the ultimate rule of recognition. To identify the chameleon, you have to see what isn't there. It's like a Zen koan for nature lovers.
Perfect.
So the poem is obviously hilarious in just how absurd it is. But the humor isn't only in the dangerous ideas. It's in how the language itself is having fun. The poet, Carolyn Wells, is using some really clever literary tricks here. It all comes down to this one simple idea, poetic license. Think of it as an artist's permission slip to bend the rules of grammar, of spelling, even of logic, all to create an effect or to land a joke. And Wells, she cashes that in beautifully. Let's break down how she does it. First, she forces these rhymes, like making dying rhyme with lion, just for that comedic punch. Second, she's literally just making up spellings. Lept and lep aren't real words, but they fit the rhythm and they just sound fun. And finally, she leans on ideas we already get, like the bear hug and crocodile tears, which makes the jokes land instantly.
So when you put it all together, you realize this poem isn't just a silly list of terrible advice, it's actually a celebration of how flexible and fun language can be when you just let it play.
Ultimately, the genius here is that the way it's written is just as funny as what it's saying. The wordplay and the wild ideas, they work together perfectly. It's really a masterclass in controlled chaos.
And that leaves us with one final thought. I mean, this poem is over 100 years old, but this kind of playful rule-breaking with language is everywhere today. In memes, in song lyrics, in the jokes we tell. So the question is, where do you see it? What's your favorite example of language misbehaving, just to get a good laugh? Something to think about.